The Pittsburgh Steelers walk out of week 6 with a 23-9 victory over the Cleveland Browns, advancing to 4-1 on the season. And I'll just say this. There are not many times where the Steelers can get a victory and your heart rate remains under 100 beats per minute. So I'm enjoying that, and enjoying that with me this week is Noah Strackbein of All Steelers Talk. You can find his work at si.com/NFL/Steelers or at All Steelers Talk on YouTube and or your favorite podcasting platform. How's it going, Noah?
It's going much better right now, my friend. It's good to see you. It's good to be here. I will say it's been a minute since I've been on a podcast and been like, oh, I am so excited. And then my wife tells me that she's also excited for me to be on this podcast. So I'm feeling good. It's a good Victory Monday here. And just like you said, it's a good Victory Monday when you wake up Monday morning and you don't have to be like, oh, still have a pulse. This is good. We're still alive. You knew it going to bed.
I was debating whether or not if I should start with "What is up, Steelers Nation?" But you know what? I feel like that might be trademarked by someone.
It might be close at this point. I will say that at one point I put a poll out and said, should I stop doing this? And it was like 95% people were like, don't ever stop doing this. I think I'll stop listening to the podcast. So at this point I wake up and say it. That's just what we do. But it's good. It keeps you going. And when I'm old, that's how I look at it. When I'm old, I could just do it in my sleep. So we'll be fine.
One of these days, we're going to find an AST fan with a "What is up, Steelers Nation" tattoo. And it's going to be, I mean, I'm sure your favorite day on the planet, but it's going to be my favorite day on the planet too. But happy to have this AST reunion with you, talking Steelers football again. 4-1 on the season. And I think the biggest storyline from that game was the defense, because to me, it was a statement game. I mean, you mentioned in your post-game live that you talked to Juan Thornhill, and he's saying, yeah, this is exactly what I was telling everybody earlier in the season. This is what this defense can be when all healthy, and they certainly showed it in their first game at full strength.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we were waiting for, was all 11 guys on the field. And you saw it in week 1. You're like, okay, the run defense isn't so strong, but Keanu Benton really hasn't found his grip yet. And how big of a difference does Derek Harmon make? Well, we saw the significant difference that Derek Harmon makes. And then in the secondary, I mean, they've been clicking, and to go out there and do what they did is impressive. You know, Darius Slay and Joey Porter Jr. have taken some serious strides forward, I think, since the beginning of the season. And I think that's just cohesion. Jalen Ramsey, I mean, that was his best game, and he's been impressive, but he's also had weird, like, off moments throughout the season. This was like a complete game by Jalen Ramsey, and it was a good one. But to be really honest with you, the inside linebackers and the outside linebackers are the difference makers for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. And that's what you're seeing, is a group of guys where all of their stars are clicking. And then the guys like Alex Highsmith and Nick Herbig and Patrick Queen are playing so well that it just makes, when you have linebackers that are elite, your defense is as good as it could be. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now with the Steelers.
It's not only the skill level, I think, right now with the Steelers defense, it's the communication. I mean, I think look no further than that secondary right now. I understand that they had Minkah Fitzpatrick last year, but you look at that cornerback room last year, it was Dante Jackson, and then it was a lot of young guys. It was Joey Porter in only year 2. Corey Trice was asked to do a lot of lifting last year. This year, you have a guy in Darius Slay who's not just a veteran, but he is a Super Bowl champion. He's a multi-time All-Pro guy. And then you bring Jalen Ramsey, who brings that in to the fold as well. It just feels like the communication is really what's starting to lead to the Steelers defense being able to, as you mentioned, be a cohesive unit from the jump in these games.
Yeah. I mean, I think it starts with Jalen, but you have Darius Slay and Joey Porter, like you said, and then you have Deshaun Elliott, who's here for a second season and kind of is the quarterback of the secondary. That's what he's become. Everybody looks at the big names, but Deshaun's the guy he's making the calls from deep. He's telling guys where to be and what's coming. And that's getting overlooked here, because the Steelers secondary, like you said, there are no communication issues. There are no lapses. There are no, oh, this guy's out of place, that guy's out of place. It is everybody in sync, because I think that's what happens when you just get a group of really professional veteran guys who have been on different teams. That's significant here. You know, you look at years past with guys like Minka, who's been here and was asked to do a boatload of things, but probably wasn't great at doing a boatload of things. And when he tried to do too much, I think he got rambled. I think things got out of hand. Dante Jackson, who was meshing with the defense. Well, Darius Slay's been on Super Bowl winning defenses. Darius Slay's been on multiple defenses throughout his career. He knows how to adjust. He knows how to play different aspects of a defense and communicate with young guys because he's done all of this. And Jalen's been on a bunch of defenses, so he understands what's being asked of him at multiple different places. And I think when all that happens, and then you have a guy like Deshaun who's back there saying, hey, I'll be the core. I'll keep this group together, which nobody thought that was going to be the case, but that's the case. That's the guy. I think it works. Like, and I think it allows everybody to play free. And you have a guy like Jalen Ramsey who, I mean, Jalen Ramsey's just playing football at the end of the day. Like, that's the best thing about Jalen Ramsey is he's out there. Oh, I'm going to go hit the quarterback. I'm going to go hit the quarterback. You know, like I'm going to come up and make this play. I'm going to come up and make this play. That he's the guy that the Steelers have wanted for years. Now they got him. And that's what you miss in a secondary is you have a bunch of guys that play their position and then one guy that's just, hey, go be a lunatic. Just go be a football player. And that's who Jalen is. And I mean, we're seeing when everybody else does their job, you're not going to miss anything. Like everything's going to be aligned and working. And that's what the Steelers are doing right now.
Now, I do want to circle back really quickly to the run defense because that's something that you mentioned, and that's something that I think everybody was really harping on after that week one where they gave up 180 plus yards to the New York Jets. But in back-to-back games, the Steelers have held their opponents to under 100 rushing yards. What has changed over the past few weeks? Is it simply Derek Harmon has stepped in and stepped up? Is it simply they needed a couple weeks to mesh, or is there something else going on here on the Steelers defensive front?
I think a big part of it is Derek Harmon. You don't have any lapses in that defensive front. It's allowed Keanu Benton to play better because everybody was on Keanu Benton the first couple of weeks. Oh, he's not a nose tackle. He's not a nose tackle. Maybe he's not a nose tackle, but when you're a nose tackle and everybody has to pay attention to you because nobody cares about Isaiah Loudermilk, it's much more difficult to not be a nose tackle and play nose tackle. Whereas you have Cam Hayward and Derek Harmon next to you and offensive linemen are going, I don't really know what to do right now. It makes your life a hell of a lot easier. And that's what we're seeing in Keanu Benton. So I think it is Derek Harmon. He is making a significant difference. And he's so overlooked. Like nobody talks about Derek Harmon. The kid had a sack yesterday and not one person mentioned it. I think he had two. I think TJ Watt took that second one away from him because he was on top of the pile, but who was on the bottom of the pile? Derek Harmon. And TJ got up and said, I'm gonna kick the leg because then it's mine. That's how this works.
Yeah.
And I think Derek is a huge part of this, but I think on top of that, you learned how to use Cole Holcomb, which is big. And week one, Patrick Queen was still being Patrick Queen. I think week two, Patrick Queen was still being like old school Patrick Queen. The last 3 games, Patrick Queen has played his best football as a Pittsburgh Steeler. And he's the best inside linebacker right now that the Steelers have had since Ryan Shazier. And it's not even close. And when you get that, that's I've said it so many times over the last couple of days, just like talking to random people. There is no position in football that is more fun to watch than inside linebacker when an inside linebacker is good. And that is what Patrick Queen is. He's hitting people harder than anybody. His closing speed's faster than everybody. His instincts are better than everybody's on the field. Like, it's such a game changer to have an inside linebacker that's elite, and that's kind of what they're getting there. So I would say all of it, but Patrick Queen, Derek Harmon, those two are game changers for this defense.
Yeah, I said it last night on Twitter. I'll say it again today. I'll keep saying it all week. Patrick Queen deserves an apology from a lot of members of Steelers Nation who are trying to bury him after year one of that contract because he has been absolutely ridiculous. Now, part of that might be what we talked about earlier. There's better communication in the secondary, so he doesn't have to turn around and get everybody else situated. He just has to say, hey, Jalen, this is what the play is. You got these guys? All right, cool. I got these guys, and now I can focus in on the play. And maybe that's allowing him to play a little bit faster. I think I've also noticed it looks like the Steelers are blitzing a little bit more. They're not as, we talked last year a lot about how the Steelers are almost pompous and saying, hey, we're going to rush 4, and that's all we need to do because we have TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Cam Hayward. This year, it seems like they're drawing it up. They're dialing it up a little bit more. And a lot of that is, hey, just take the leash off. There goes Patrick Queen. There goes Peyton Wilson. These guys are fast inside linebackers. let him go. Let him get to the quarterback, because 9 times out of 10, they're getting there before any quarterback's going to be able to read that defense and find the hole in the back end of that. So is that kind of what you're reading as well as you watch Patrick Queen kind of expand what he's been able to do in a Steelers uniform?
Yeah, for sure. He understands the defense better than he did a year ago, which is big. Like, he now knows everything that everybody's supposed to be doing, and that makes his job so much easier. But just like you said, last year, how many times did we hear, oh, somebody's playing hero ball, somebody's playing hero ball? That's what's messing up the defenses. If everybody did their job, we wouldn't have these lapses. There are no lapses. There's nobody's playing hero ball. And if somebody is, it's TJ Watt or it's Jalen Ramsey. And guess what? Those two are heroes. They could play hero ball and it works. So that's a huge part of this, is being able to trust everybody behind you, just like you said. And yeah, again, like, he doesn't have to, Patrick Queen doesn't have to win you a football game. But your inside linebacker should never have to win you a football game. He should never be the guy that has to get to the quarterback more than anybody. He should never be the guy that has to stuff the run more than anybody. He should just be the complementary piece that is your biggest security, your biggest safety blanket. Like, that's who your inside linebacker should be. And that's what he is. And he's so good at it, because like you said, like, when you have not 2, but 3 dominant outside linebackers, Patrick Queen's job becomes so much easier, because quarterbacks are rattled and they're dumping balls off. When you're rushing, you can't get to the outside, because what are you going to do? Run into Alex Highsmith? That's a bad idea. You're going to run straight. And guess who's straight? Patrick Queen. And he's going to make you pay for it. So it does. The rest of the defense makes his job so much easier. And again, you have to execute with that, because the Steelers have had good defenses with bad inside linebackers, and they have not executed. But to have an inside linebacker it just makes everything there. That's the one hole that a lot of defenses in the NFL have, where you look around and go, there are not a lot of great inside linebackers anymore. To have one, I mean, there are no holes. That's at the end of the day, Patrick Queen makes sure that there are no holes on the Steelers defense.
Yeah, you think of those dominant Steelers defenses of the early 2010s. Who's on the inside?
Yeah.
It's the unsung heroes. It's your, Lawrence Timmons. It's your James Farriers. It's your Larry Foots. If he can continue to put his name upside of those guys, that's where you're going to see this defense become everything that Juan Thornhill wants it to be and more. But the last thing I'll mention here before I let you go, Noah, is you mentioned there's a couple guys that are heroes on this defense. Yes. Jalen Ramsey, TJ Watt. I'm just saying, Nick Herbig is getting close to earning his punch card as a hero on this team. 2 more sacks against the Browns, 4.5 in 5 games on the season. By the way, his season career high is 5.5 on a season. So I think you can bet the over on that one. But I think the big thing you look at here is he had a great game in week 6 while Alex Highsmith was back on the field. Outside linebacker snaps in week 6. Herbig, 61%, TJ Watt, 60%, Alex Highsmith, 57%. It's about as even as you can possibly get a split between 3 outside linebackers. Do you expect that continues, or was this a, hey, let's ease Alex back into the field type of thing?
I think it's a play it by week situation. It's a, how do we keep, I don't think it has everything to do with Alex. I think it's everybody. It's how do we keep TJ, Alex, and Nick all healthy come the playoffs. The Steelers right now, the Steelers are taking it week by week, but let's be honest, they're 4-1. This team is not game planning for Cincinnati and saying, nah, you know what, we're throwing all our eggs in a basket. No, they're making sure that come week 18, the divisional round, that TJ's on the field because they don't win without TJ, that Alex is on the field because it makes a difference, that all 11 starters are out there. So I think it's a week by week basis where it's, how do we split these reps to make sure that, our guys are healthy and nobody's taking too much of a toll on their body beforehand so that we don't risk injury. And I think that's fine, because if the Steelers collectively have 6 sacks a game, they don't care if TJ has 25. They do not care at all. If Nick Herbig gets 2 and Derek Harmon gets 1 and Alex Highsmith gets 1 and TJ gets 1 and Jalen Ramsey gets 1 and Patrick Queen gets 1, they're fine. That's a win. They've done it. So they're totally fine with it. I think that the emergence of Nick has given them a secret weapon that they didn't even know that they wanted. You know, they wanted a third outside linebacker, but they wanted a Melvin Gordon come off the bench 10 to 25 times a game at outside linebacker. Now they have a guy that they're, all right, well, we have to put this guy on the field. And they don't even know the power of that. And I think we saw some of it this past weekend. I think we're going to see different combinations of it. But you're right. Nick Herbig is, he's in the words of Nate, he's a stud. He's a stud. And on top of that, I will say that, and I will make a public apology on this podcast, because I pushed for like 2 weeks saying I think the Steelers should potentially look into trading Alex Highsmith. That went out the door about 10 seconds into the first defensive drive, where I went, all right, that was a bad idea. I don't even know why I said that. So shout out to Alex Highsmith too. But yeah, no, that's I think the split it'll vary to make sure that they're all good. I think everybody's going to try to stay healthy come the playoffs.
Well, the Steelers are back in action, short week, on Thursday at Cincinnati, another divisional matchup. Thank you again, Noah, so much for joining us. That's Noah Strackbein. You can find his work at si.com/NFL/Steelers, or you can find his podcast at All Steelers Talk on YouTube or anywhere you get your podcast from. Thanks again.